Going with the LA betting market now. We're going to start off with the, when we talk about the LA teams, the Rams and the Chargers, we're going to start off with the Rams, the 49ers, and Rams on Thursday Night Football. There's a bunch of injuries here, Gilbert. Brock Purdy's out. Jauan Jennings is out. Ricky Pearsall is out for the offense there. There are also two other guys that are out in this game for the 49ers. The Rams won't have Rob Havenstein, it sounds like he's doubtful, and Tyler Higbee on offense. So they will also be without two of their starters on offense. It looks like, as of where we're recording here on Wednesday, Gilbert, the line has gone all the way up to the Rams at 7.5 point favorites. The over under here is 44.5. What's the right side of this line, Gilbert?
Yeah, I'm glad that. Well, first of all, promo House of Horns. Check that out. YouTube, Spotify, Apple for the audio. House of Horns is where we discuss the Rams on a weekly basis. The game preview, Rams versus 49ers, will be out by Wednesday evening, and I'm sure when you're watching this here, will be Thursday morning, so it's already out. But I'm glad that we have something separate to really break down that game, because I got a whole lot to say in terms of betting for this matchup here. Uh, it's definitely a tricky one with all the injuries. And the funny part about the Rams, they have cost the sports books the last 2 weeks a lot of money, because the Jordan Davis blocked field goal for a
Oh, yeah.
touchdown, the Eagles covered, and that was a big public play. Like the public has been benefiting from the Rams, and the sharps were on the Rams that week. Well, the Eagles won and they cover. That cost money for the sports books. The following week, the sharps were on the Colts to cover. The public was on the Rams to cover the -3.5. It seemed like we were headed for a field goal game, or sorry, a 3-point decision. Either the Rams win on the field goal, or maybe the Colts prevail in overtime. No, Tutu Atwell touchdown, 7-point win. Rams cover, more money for the public there. So the odds makers are worried about the Rams killing them more money, because you better believe the public's going to be on the Rams again with a decimated 49ers team. But here's the thing: it makes you think, because that's a massive number, 7.5. It didn't move too much, because I was checking earlier. It was at -7, but I think the odds makers were already expecting for a bunch of players to be out. So when it became the real deal on the final injury report, it moved it from 7 to 7.5. Not a big number, but that matters in betting, going from 7 to 7.5. Unfortunately, for our best bets, I put it in 7, because that's what it was before. But that's the rule. When you put the bet on the sheet, that's what you get. But I'm going to take the 49ers and the points here. This one, I'll take the 7.5 gladly. That's not my best bet. But they just find ways to make it competitive. They've been banged up all year, and they're 3-1. I know it didn't work out against the Jaguars, and surprisingly, that was the game that Brock Purdy played. I'm starting to forget now.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and that was their worst game. And with Mac Jones, they actually didn't look too bad. They still got Christian McCaffrey for offense. They still got Fred Warner on defense. That they're definitely banged up. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I could see the Rams winning in ugly fashion. They weren't that great against the Colts. They got lucky to win that game, I thought. So short trip, familiar opponent, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay.
Yep.
I could see this one being heavy public play, but finally getting burned by the Rams here, because they're thinking, cool, pour the money in. I know for some bettors, they might say, you know what, that line's too big here. I would just put the Rams on the money line. I'll put the Rams on a teaser. Maybe that's a better play there if you want to go that route. But just that's too many points for me, Vic, for the Rams at least.
Yeah, once I saw this line go way up like this, I was not I'm kind of staying away from it in terms of what I see. And then the other thing too, believe it or not, Mac Jones has been the better quarterback for the 49ers over Brock Purdy. If you look at the QBR and how the
Yeah.
receivers are, how much better they've done, and the running backs and the tight ends, it there's a big difference there. And you're not going to say that because it's Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, right? Even though one of them was a first round pick and the other one was a seventh round pick. And Brock Purdy, we've seen all the success as he's had, but that, even with less targets, I guess, or less talent to have. Mac Jones has been the better quarterback so far in the two games, and now you could say that Brock Purdy was, hurt still and probably shouldn't have played on Sunday, but I'm sure he saw what happened when how he got the job, and he saw that, you know, Jimmy G got
Yeah.
hurt, and he's like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to have Mac Jones take my job, and you never hear from me again. So I'm sure that's probably why he came back too soon. But I'm with you here. Is I like the Rams to win this game, and I just I think they'll keep it close because of the whole Shanahan. The way these two coaches know each other, it's hard to kind of, you know, be unpredictable here unless Chris Shula does something, out of the ordinary where he throws, Kyle Shanahan off guard here. I just don't see it. We've seen it like these teams always play close, and one of them ends up winning by 3 points. I think every game there hasn't been a big margin of win by either team. So even though the Rams swept them last year, I think they were still both games were close, and so even if it's backups, it's still a close game, Gilbert. So I'm with you. I think the 49ers cover here, but I like the Rams to win.
Yeah, one more thing from the betting angle here. It's you know, the sharps, are called sharps for a reason because they jump ahead. They look for the number that they see value in. And a lot of these sports books, I'm sure on mobile or in person in Vegas or wherever, they offer like a look ahead line where it's, you're still in week 4, but you could bet week 5 a week early. And it didn't take a rocket science or what scientists, there you go, or whatever, smart people to know that the 49ers are not going to get healthy in 4 days. They were dealing with injuries with versus the Jaguars, versus the Saints, uh, whatever team else I forgot who they played, the Cardinals. They've been banged up all year. So, like, the
Yep.
benefit would have been like, I see that line there, and I think it was at Rams plus 3.5 6 days ago. You could have been like, I'm taking the Rams at plus 3.5 right now because no way the 49ers are going to get healthy in 4 days. So I'm gonna take a chance. Boom, sure enough, that paid off. Paid off. Now it's ballooned to Rams, minus 7.5. Sorry, when I said earlier it was Rams minus 3.5. So I'd rather take that. Like if I'm betting in this game, I'm taking the Rams minus 3.5. I'm not taking them minus 7.5. So things like that, always look out for the numbers because the earlier you get, you could kind of gauge where you're going to be 6 days later. It's not always that easy, but a short week, banged up team, you could have found value on the Rams there early on.
Yeah, and that's the thing when you're looking ahead, especially on a short week, you can take advantage of it. Once you get to, those weekend games, it's kind of hard to kind of, find value there, unless, you know that some of these teams are really, really banged up, or it's one of those games where you have a team who's already in Europe and the other team is having to travel there. So
Mm.
those are kind of things you kind of want to look for, and we'll get into it when we get to that Browns Vikings game. All right, next up, Gilbert, we have in our LA betting market segment, we have the Washington Commanders visiting the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are 2.5 point favorites. The over under here is 48.5. What is the right side of this line?
Yeah, and again, a promo. Check out what Fernando and Dan are doing on What's Up Boat for a more in-depth preview of Chargers versus Commanders. But we got the betting angle covered here, and I kind of feel like I've been picking on the Commanders, but last week I said the Falcons are better than what they showed in Carolina. They're gonna rebound and beat the Commanders. Sure enough, that's what occurred. Uh, I see the same thing with the Chargers. They're a better team than what they showed against the Giants. I get that the offensive line it's a big concern, and again, I'm picking on the Commanders. Commanders have no pass rushers. Like if there's ever a game where you should be okay about your patchwork offensive line, it's the Commanders. They don't have a lot of talent defensively. Bobby Wagner, who's this ageless wonder, he's still making plays there. Other than that, I can't really tell you who's really going to be shining there and being a star. So if you had good coaching, which I think they do, Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, you can scheme up plays to avoid some of this kind of so pass rush. You're like it's not where you're facing. Well, we saw in that Raider game. Max Crosby alone could wreck a game, even though he doesn't have a lot of help. The Commanders don't have that. So to me, I think the Chargers are better than what they showed. The narrative is that the Chargers are too banged up offensive on the offensive line. Uh, the narrative is the Commanders are getting Jaden Daniels back. I just think with or without Jaden Daniels, the Commanders are not that good. They might be a playoff team, wild card team at best. I just don't see them going into a deep playoff run like last year. They just haven't found their stride yet, and it's hard asking Jaden Daniels to find that stride coming back from injury. I don't know about Scary Terry. I have not checked up on that. Regardless, I think the Chargers are going to win this one and cover -2.5. Maybe get in right now early before maybe the line moves to -3.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Chargers here at -2.5. I kind of like the under here too at 48. I think that's too big of a
Yeah,
number there. Especially when you look at the Chargers and how I don't think they've allowed a team to score over 25 points this season. I think what was it? The Giants scored 21, and that's been the highest number so far this season. Maybe I'm forgetting about the Chiefs number, but
yeah,
I
they got 21 too. It was
yeah,
27-21.
yeah, so there you go. So they don't allow teams to score over 21 points. So that's why I like the under in this game as well. But one of the things too, if you're Washington and and you know, if I thought that they could pull up the upset here, and not just with Jaden Daniels being back, but if they could run the ball, if pick a, it's one of those where pick a running back and stick with it, because it just seems like they can figure out what running back they want to go with, whether it's Nichols or it's Chris Rodriguez or if it's Jim. They can't seem to figure out which one of them. I would say just stick to one. The other thing too is what's the offensive? I don't know why I'm like blanking on his name. The offensive coordinator for the Commanders.
Oh, Kingsbury.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. He likes running that college system. And Jesse Minter, no, he was in college. He was at Michigan. He knows how to
Mhm.
go against it. Like those guys that were in college as defensive coordinators, they've seen all the, these Mickey Mouse college systems, and so that's part of the reason too that the with Cliff Kingsbury, it just feels like you can't keep running the same stuff you ran, and you gotta evolve. And it just seems with Jesse Minter, I just don't see them being able to do that, especially with Jane Daniels coming back from injury.
Yeah, that's maybe a good point as to why the Commanders haven't looked that great because we know what Kingsbury did in Arizona. He got them to one playoff appearance. I don't know if that was his first year. I can't remember. Maybe second year, but he always struggled with adjusting. And having Jaden Daniels run a kind of a scheme that he ran at LSU was beneficial. They took off running, but now there's a whole year's worth of film out there, and now it's back on Kingsbury to adjust. He couldn't do that in Arizona, so that's a good point by you.
Yeah, and we saw it with Jeff Hafley, who was in at Boston College as a defensive coordinator. He shut down this Washington Commanders offense because he's seen it, and the same thing's going to happen with Jesse Minter. I just feel like that, so that's why it the 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 line here that I would like to take advantage of is that over the under here at 48.5, Gilbert.
Yeah, I like it. It is pretty
Yeah.
high. Uh, two banged up teams. One a good defense on the Chargers side for a quarterback coming back, and then I don't expect too many points from Justin Herbert with a banged up offensive line.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those like a 21-10 kind of game, or 21-17. It still gets you under that 48.5. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm with you. All right, Gilbert, let's get to our super dog contest. I got I got one finally. You missed out on, you had the Panthers at +5.5. They got blown out by the Patriots. And then I had the Cowboys at +7. They got the tie there in overtime. We were trying to figure out. I was like, wait. I was asking you. Well, so what happens now with the tie? How do we figure out the points here? But we figured it out. But yeah. So now you've gotten two. I have one. So I got to catch up to you. What do you have this week for our Super Dog contest of the week?
Yeah, new rule: never pick the Panthers ever again. They are the biggest disappointment ever. But I am breaking a rule though. I usually avoid LA teams for my bets and for best bets and super dog. But I'm gonna have both LA teams involved. I think I think I got the Chargers later on.
Yep.
But here Again, I put this number down on the sheet before the final injury report came out from the 49ers. I could have got a 7.5, but hey, maybe I get that 1 point push there, Vic, that we were
Yep.
debating about there. So 49ers +7 versus the Rams here. Uh, Again, I think the rivalry, short trip, still enough talent for the 49ers to make this close. Something about the Rams, they just kind of, I don't know. They always make games that are very interesting, keep it very close. I know they beat up on the Titans, but that's the Tennessee Titans. So, and I've been calling I know the 49ers, I know I'm not high on them in terms of being contenders, but I've been calling them survivors. I think they have a close game to just to survive and have some pride here.
Yeah, I liked it when I saw it. Like I said, as we talked to during that segment with the LA betting segment, I just yeah, I'm with you here. I really like this one. Gilbert, I kind of want to go over my process here of choosing the Patriots +8.5 versus the Bills. So one of the things we talked about last week was I was trying to find a home dog that had a good number, and I couldn't find one. I couldn't bring myself to pick the Bengals to at least cover against the Lions because I have them as my best bet. I have the Lions. I just think that
Yeah.
it'll probably be a blowout, even though they're having to go on the road. My next option was the Raiders at the Colts, which was 7, and I'm like, I'm not going down that road anymore. And so I finally landed here on the Patriots +8.5. We saw what happened last week with the Saints and how well they played the Bills, and a lot of it had to do with the Bills defense. The Bills defense isn't that good. It's probably bottom 10 in the league now, Gilbert. And the other thing too, Gilbert, I've really liked what I've seen from the Patriots ever since that Raiders game. It seems like they've kind of found their identity. They should have won that game against the Steelers. They beat the Dolphins on the road, and I just feel like this is a divisional game, another primetime game for the Bills, and it just feels like the Patriots are ready to maybe not take that next step, but kind of show that hey, that those games against the Steelers and the Raiders weren't what they really are, and what they really are those games against the Dolphins and the Panthers. And so I'm that's why I like this one as an 8.5. And I know they're going on the road, but it's a divisional game, and maybe they can just keep it close, and I get the cover here.
Yeah, I was really thinking about this one here. I think the Patriots are starting to play better. I'm still unsure if they're a playoff team, but you're right. They probably should have beaten the Steelers, and I think the Patriots could find a spot into the wild card here. The only thing that scared me off here, and I also remember the Bills not covering against the Saints. They did not cover against the Dolphins. And then I remembered, I think the Bills are gonna wake up here because like all those years that the Patriots just beat the crap out of them. I think they remember that and they want to beat the crap out of the Patriots every time they see them. Maybe that's something that I'm just thinking about, but I decided to stay away just because of that aspect there. We're like, if there's one team you want to whoop on, it's that team that whooped us for
Yeah.
20 years in a row. So that's the reason why. It's not the best reason, but that's why I didn't go that route either.
Yeah, and I mean there wasn't a lot to pick from, Gilbert. So,
I know.
we,
Yeah.
you know, so this was my best option. I told you my process there. All right, Gilbert, let's get to our betting locks of the week. We'll start off with you. You had like you said, you had a really good week. I think you got 3 out of the 5, I believe.
Yeah.
So that was good. But you got your big number, so that was really good. I think you got your 5, your 4, and then I think you hit on a 2 and a 1, or something like that. I forget, but you had a really good week. Um, which I really needed that super dog because it allowed me to get within 5 points. I got one of my best bets, one better than you. So we both did
Yeah.
really well, which is good for everybody that watches this show. That's what we want to do. We don't want to be bad and the other one be good. So all right, Gilbert, let's start off with your number 5.
Yeah. Again, I'm going with the Broncos here, like I mentioned earlier. I wish that number was higher, +4.5. I would have gladly taken that. But when you get the over on the 3, it's pretty much the same thing there. So give me the Broncos +3.5 versus the Eagles. Again, I like the matchup. I think the Broncos defense is going to be a big factor here.
Yep, I'm with you. I didn't realize we both picked this game. I was trying to find a dog, and then I was like, "Oh crap, we had the same one." But go ahead. I really like this one.
Yeah, you know what's cool about the super dog? The number is, or the minimum is plus 4.5, and we always go like 6 or 7, so we don't we don't take the easy way out. So that
That's
stopped me
true.
from taking the Browns here. And I've been riding the Browns a lot. They actually been coming through. I'm like, are they gonna come through one more time? I don't know. I'll avoid them for the super dog here because the 4.5, it feels like a coward move. It has to be over that. But they meet the line barely. And then the Browns, the Vikings match. Sorry, let me give you the number. Browns plus 4.5 versus the Vikings. That is my number 4 bet. The Vikings matchup just seems like it's like ready for an upset for the Browns. The Browns can't keep pace against the Lions. They can't keep pace with a healthy Ravens squad when Lamar Jackson's on the field. But the Vikings with Carson Wentz and or JJ McCarthy, who cares? Like I can see Miles Garrett beating the crap out of this offensive line. I can see, Denzel Ward or anybody on this loaded defense getting turnovers, maybe scoring defensively. The Vikings are in London after playing a game in Dublin. Uh, I get the Dylan Gabriel aspect is concerning, but we just saw Jackson Dart win against the Chargers, so I'm not too worried about that. I know Brian Flores' defense is very scary, especially for a young player like Dylan Gabriel. But to me, I focus more on the defense potentially pulling off an upset here.
I do wonder if Kevin Stefanski kind of takes a page out of Brian Dable and runs some of the college system stuff to kind of make Dylan Gabriel feel a little comfortable. And I think part of the reason they're going away from Flacco to Dylan Gabriel is because they want him to protect the ball, and so they're probably you're going to see a lot of passes at the line of scrimmage, Gilbert. I don't see them pushing the ball here in this game. And now I had I known this, Gilbert, I'm hating myself because I always do this, and I'll talk fantasy, but Harold Fanning, like I dropped Harold Fanning because I got tired of Flacco not getting him the ball, and I feel like with Dylan Gabriel now, he's gonna get
Yeah.
him the ball. Yeah,
Yeah, I could definitely see that too. I got to check the wire now.
yeah.
Uh, but number 3, I've mentioned this one, so I'll be quick. I think the Chargers are going to bounce back into the Commanders, so take them to cover minus 2.5.
Number two,
This one's a little bit of a surprise here, but it's all about narratives and storylines. The public's gonna be all over the Cowboys because hey, look, they dropped 40 points on the Packers. They tied, yay! And the Jets look terrible on Monday night. They're on 4, but I'm gonna go with the desperate home team here to at least cover. I think that maybe the Cowboys have a trap game here. This is my number 2 or my 2 pointer here for the top 5 bets.
yeah, especially when they didn't look good against the Bears. I just don't trust them on the road. I know they played
Mhm.
well against the Eagles, but that was at the beginning of the season when everybody was healthy. Uh, Number one, Gilbert.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going with the Giants here. I think when I put it down the sheet, it was plus 1.5. I could have got a better number if I waited because now the Giants are plus 2. The Saints are -2 favorites at home. Tricky one. We discussed it in the top of the show, but I'm gonna go with the Giants here for a 1 pointer.
Yeah, I like all your bets. They're really solid, and hopefully we can continue on here with how we did last week. All right, my number. I'll go with mine here real quick. My number five. I went back to the well, Gilbert. I'm like, why am I going to change things if things are good? I'm going to keep it the same this week. The Lions at minus 10.5 here against the Bengals. We saw how terrible the Bengals looked. I just don't see that changing. I know the Lions are going on the road. Um, and then, you look at that Bengals offense, they're on a short week as well at home. I just don't know how things get better. They have a terrible offense, a terrible defense, it's terrible special teams on the Bengals there. And the Lions, my biggest concern was that schedule. That schedule now just doesn't look as hard anymore. And I just feel like they're on a mission to prove, like you said, Gilbert, you were right. Like they're here to prove that hey, last season wasn't a mirage. Yeah, they lost both their offense and defensive coordinator, but you know what? They're here to prove that they wanna be in the Super Bowl. And honestly, I can't wait to that matchup with the Eagles because I feel like they match up the best of any team in the NFC. My number 4, Gilbert, is the Chiefs minus 3.5 versus the Jaguars. Again, another team where it seems like they're starting to get their guys back again. You're starting to feel like The defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo, is trying to get comfortable with what he wants to run here. I honestly, Gilbert, I don't think the Ravens blowout was a fluke. I feel like I can see this being a blowout as well.
Mm.
I just don't have any faith in the Jaguars, and as good as they look so far, I just feel like the Chiefs, they don't have much competition in the AFC, and they're gonna prove why. And I feel like we're gonna see it on Monday night when they blow out the Jaguars.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think the Jaguars thing was a 1 week thing, at least for me, being the 49ers all banged up. So I like this play here.
Yeah, and then I talked about it earlier, so I'll keep it quick. I like this game as the under, Seahawks Buccaneers. And then I like that I wanted to at least be brave enough to take a dog here. So, like you mentioned, the Browns at 4.5 against the Vikings. The other, I kind of mentioned it. I don't know if you saw my comment during, I think it was Lunes Live or the Four Compas, but the Browns have too good of a defense, Gilbert, for them to get the number one pick. That defense is going to keep them in games, and they're going to be able, especially with the coaching from Kevin Stefanski, they're going to be able to steal some games. And I feel like this is a good chess match between Kevin O'Connell and I forget the defensive coordinator for the Browns, but it'll be a good chess match there. And I feel like the Browns can take advantage of it and keep it close, maybe not win, but at least cover here.
Yes, Schwartz, right? Yeah, some
Yeah,
is it
Jim
Jim
Schwartz.
Schwartz? I
Yeah,
forget.
yeah.
Yeah, yes, I could definitely see a good matchup there. But I'm definitely gonna go with the Browns here. That's a game that I feel like they could definitely steal.
And then my last one, I'm going back to the Texans. Well, I'm not giving up
Mm.
on them. They got me the point last week, so why not go back to them? I'm going to here with the Texans at -1.5 against the Ravens. The Ravens are beat up. That defense, I feel, I don't know what happened. So I thought Zach Gore was going to take the next step there, but even you lose Matabuki for the season. Your linebacker is dealing with an injury too, so it's just there's always that one team that has the season from hell, and it seems like the Ravens, who came in as one of the top contenders, are having to go through it, and it happens to a team every year, Gilbert.
Yeah, I know we got to get going here, but I'll be quick here because I'm glad you brought up this game. And we always talk about the sharps and the sharp play, like, oh, okay, that's something you should listen to. But sometimes, this is why it's good to listen to what you're thinking. What's your research? What's your gut feeling? And I heard from some of the odds makers that there's been some sharp play on the Ravens because they're at home. The Texans have only beaten the Titans. They can't really score. You still got Derrick Henry, but to me, I don't see it. I'm with you, Victor. I think this team has potential to implode. I think they could turn it around, but after their bye week, when they get healthier and they could stack wins, either they turn it around or they implode. And there's a high chance they could do that. And I don't think they're going to turn around this week. So I'm with you here. This is one of these games where like do your own research here. You might see some sharp play here because the Ravens are at home, but I don't trust it.
Yeah, especially that Texans defense. That they can win you, like what I
Mhm.
just said about the
Oh yeah.
Browns. That Texans defense can win you games, and as long as the offense doesn't mess it up for them, I could see them. If Lamar was in this game, I feel different about it. But the fact that you're bringing in the backup, yeah,
Oh
no,
yeah.
I'm give me the Texans here. All right, Gilbert, let's get to our quick quitters. We'll be quick with these. Miami Dolphins at Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are 1.5 point favorites at home. The over under here is 45.5. Who do you got?
I'm done with Carolina. Give me Miami here. Two on
Yeah,
Waddle.
yep, and Darren Waller, big
Yeah, that him too. Yeah.
he's gonna get a lot of targets now that Tyreek's he's out for the season. So that the in our league, somebody spent big bucks on Derek Waller, so I can see why because he's
Wow.
gonna get targeted a lot. All right, the Vegas Raiders, Gilbert, at the Indianapolis Colts -7. What do you got here?
It's such a high number, but I'm tired of also backing the Raiders to cover. So I don't like this one at all, but I'm gonna go with the Colts at home. they probably should have won that game against the Bears. They looked good at home, but now they're going on the road. And the Colts, they got some respect last week.
Yeah, I wish I can tell you that I could see the Raiders keeping it close, but the Colts are we saw that if they don't make mistakes, kind of like what they've done the first three games, they're gonna blow out teams, especially at home. My only worry here, Gilbert, is Max Crosby could just get in
Yeah,
Daniel Jones's head, and then he gives the game away, and the Raiders somehow pull off a miracle here. So that's the only thing I can. But I'm with you. I'm not gonna overthink it. I like the Colts here, and I like the over here as well.
yeah, no, we definitely agree here.
Yeah. All right, Cal. We talked about this one, right? Cowboys Jets. You picked that one
Yeah,
already.
yeah, I went with the Jets. Yeah,
Yeah. And then the last one here is Tennessee Titans at the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are 7.5 point favorites, and the over under here is 42.5. I thought about this for the super dog as well,
me
Gilbert.
too.
This was another
Me
one.
too.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like Arizona does not, or sorry, the number should be here, Victor, for the people on YouTube. Arizona should be -7.5. The Titans are +7.5 here. Uh, but I feel like Arizona has done nothing to warrant a big number like that. Like they should not have that much respect. But it is the Tennessee Titans, and they're at home, so I will go with Arizona here. But just beware because this team is capable of screwing it up.
You know, Gilbert, we got to keep it a buck here, and we got to say
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
and that,
Tennessee's ass.
yeah, when the rookie quarterback is the one speaking out and saying that the team is ass and that everybody needs to be better, that's part of the reason why I thought about it. But I'm with you. It's just I need to see it from the Titans. You as you mentioned too, you go from Brian Callahan to what it Hardigree or whatever the offensive coordinator is there, and you still don't score any points. And so it just seems like it doesn't matter, honestly, and so,
I forgot
uh,
about the change there, and they didn't score
it
a point. It
yep,
didn't do anything for them.
yeah, so I'm with
Uh,
you, Gilbert. Alright, Gilbert, that does it. We've covered every game this week. We've given as much information. You, like, laid out what the sharps are thinking, especially with that Giants and Saints game. That was great insight, but, yeah, we're ready to go, Gilbert. That's all I got from my side of things.
yeah, as like the theme of the show, we just try to give you as much information as possible. But at the end of the day, it's your pick, your decision. Make it. Don't be a follower. Don't be a sheep. That's what we see in fantasy football. That's what we see in betting. Like the people just jumping to go pick the Saints because that's what somebody else said. Again, it's a respected publication, but you never know. Do your own research. But also, we try to make it easier on you in terms of that part. But it's time to get going here. We were successful last year. We're also not trying to charge people either for picks. Like, come over here and give us your money. Just watch, support, tell people. If people are watching and people are liking it, the money will come. But we're not gonna ask it from you. Not yet. I can't say I can't promise. But we're earning it. We're trying to get a good reputation here. So uh, that's the last thing I'll say here because we got to get going. Check out everything we're doing on Compas, House of Horns, and What's Up Boat. But on that note, ya nos vamos. Pues vámonos.